SAfm, South Africa's news and information leader.
As for Winnie auction and Obama voices concern about violence against Burmese Muslims. That's in the news this hour here on SAfm. The sheriff of the court has left Winnie Madikizela Mandela's house in Soweto without going ahead with the auction of her movable goods. The ANC veteran owes educational institution Abbott College 40,000 rand for tuition of a grandniece. There's been no answer to the knocks of the sheriff despite there being activity on the premises. Noma Bolani reports.
The sheriff says they had the papers to get a locksmith to break the gate. He says, however, there's no need to enforce that because there are no bidders identified here today. More than 50 media personnel are still outside the house. The sheriff says they will schedule another day for the auction to take place. Lawyers from both sides have been unavailable for updates. Mama Bolani, SABC News, Soweto.
COSATU's Northwest Provincial Secretary Soli Pedwe has called for criminal charges to be laid against Lanxess mine security officers who shot and injured over 15 striking mine workers in Rustenburg. Mine workers have been on an unprotected strike for the past week, demanding performance bonuses. They are gathered at the Lanxess mine premises, disputing management's refusal to respond to their demands. Workers say management is resorting to violence. They say they are determined to continue with their strike until their demands are met. Order has been restored at the Kanya Primary School in Mitchell's Plain after angry parents earlier chased teachers from classrooms. They want a new school for their children. The parents are now protesting outside the school and police are monitoring the situation. They say all operations at the school will be brought to a standstill until a plan is made for more conducive learning for their children. Their children have not been attending school for the past 3 weeks. Medical experts say a pulmonary embolism is often confused with cardiac problems. This follows reports that renowned TV and radio presenter Vuyo Mbuli died of a pulmonary embolism. A post-mortem has shown that Mbuli had blood clots in his veins that caused a blockage in his lungs. Director of Critical Health at the Charlotte Maxeke Hospital, Professor Guy Richards, says a pulmonary embolism is clots that appear in the upper legs, eventually moving up to the lungs.
In Mr. Mbuli's case, the possibility is that his clotting, there may have been an underlying congenital or heritable clotting abnormality, but also he had just driven down from Johannesburg. If you coupled the relative immobility of sitting in the car for a long period of time and then an abnormality of clotting so that he had an increased tendency to clot, that could potentially cause a problem.
The Marikana Commission of Inquiry has heard that police had anticipated that they will make more than 170 arrests when they implemented their plan to disarm thousands of striking Lonmin mine workers in Marikana last year. Advocate Dumisa Ntsebeza, who represents families of some of the miners who were killed, put it to police witness Carl Annandale that their plan was highly risky. Annandale said they have dealt with thousands of other protests where protesters were armed but managed to disperse and disarm them. He said they had expected to disarm a group of 300 militant protesters, not the whole group of 3,000 miners.
Chairperson, we have over a number of years dealt with thousands of protest groups and which were successfully dispersed. I also gave evidence that it wasn't the intention to confront and disarm the whole big group, and that we had foreseen making in the region of about 170 arrests.
Overseas, U.S. President Barack Obama has voiced concern about recent criminal violence against Muslims in Burma. Obama is currently hosting Burmese leadership, including President Thein Sein, in Washington. For his part, Sein acknowledged that reforms in his country still have a long way to go.
We face tremendous challenges. We're a poor country. Many of our institutions must be adjusted, others entirely reformed. We must move towards a state that sees itself first and foremost as the servant of the people.
Recapping the top story, the sheriff of the court has left Winnie Madikizela Mandela's house in Soweto without going ahead with the auction of her movable goods.